Yo, man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17, Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out and fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
That's right.
We got more than we can use.
Already was high within San Antonio, Winchester community, but the age group is getting younger. Children under the age of 18 being murdered in San Antonio has a high peak right now. So our goal is to catch the children.
You're going hard, man. You're going hard on that man today.
So what do you think, Mr. Mayor? You got manufacturing right here, helping our young people despite all of the challenges in the city of Baltimore, right here on North Avenue.
No, it's really about the growth. Just knowing where, being there when they were down in Port Covington and seeing how far it's grown. Like you said earlier, like getting the sorbet, you know, where we got the sorbet at the beginning, but now being able to, when I'm at Cannon Yards, get it, or anytime I'm down at Harbor Place to get it, and folks to not even know, but they gonna know now that like this is coming from young people in West Baltimore, right there in West Baltimore on North Avenue, where they think nothing great comes from, but they can see it in what the young people do.
Here on the bank of Mississippi, down right here, French Quarter, Mathis. A beautiful town, just leaving Algiers, which is an update 10 years since Katrina. The news. All right, y'all, this is what I came to New York for. Besides the Black Wall Street Awards, we're going in here and get some of this real good jerk chicken. Johnny Glover, out.
I feel the warmth of your skin. Just the touch of your hand makes me tremble within.
But we need to feed our loved ones. DOTS needs to rescind this package policy program so that our loved ones are able to eat every day in that filthy facility that
we have some stars in the building.
We'd like to welcome you to the show. We have with us a very special guest today. We're going to do this over the phone, okay? Okay, all right. First name's Doni, last name's Glover, entered the winning for the long haul, baby. What can go wrong will go wrong in the world of media. Let me tell you, you better have a backup plan. So today is Juneteenth, and according to definition, Juneteenth, officially Juneteenth National Independence Day, is a federal holiday in the United States. It is celebrated annually on June the 19th to commemorate the ending of slavery in these United States. So I figure what better way to celebrate this day than to share some good old Baltimore history, also some national history. Actually, this guest is more than qualified to talk about a lot of things. We have with us the one and only Alice Toriente. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth to you, Mr. Glover.
How have you been?
Fine, thank you.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I call this lady Auntie Alice, and people may not know, but our families have been friends for a very long time. And I'm so honored to know her. She keeps me so astute. People think, I don't know what they think. I know they think we have a lot of information on the show, but we have a lot of information because we have people like Auntie Alice Toriente, who make sure I know some things I need to know. So where shall we start? Tell them who your daddy was.
My father was the late Senator Troy Braley, who represented the 40th District in West Baltimore.
And we now have the park. The park I grew up playing in is named after him. It's Senator Troy Braley Easterwood Park and Recreation Center, right there at the corner of Baker and Bentonville. Go Easterwood! And you've had quite a storied life yourself, but you know, one of my favorite stories from you, Auntie Alice, is how famous people used to visit your house growing up. Who used to come to your house?
Oh my gosh. Okay, Willie Mays, who just recently passed away, came to our house.
God rest his soul.
Yes, God rest his soul. He's a wonderful man. Jackie Robson used to come to our house. E.D. Nixon, the man who was the person who started Martin Luther King off in the Montgomery Improvement Association, and he also was the one who financed the Montgomery boycott when he raised the money when they had the boycott in Montgomery. They broke down segregation on the buses after Rosa Parks was his secretary. She never came to our house, but we knew a lot about her. Trying to see, did I say Ossie Davis, Ruby D, Buddy Young, and Tom Maboya, one of the African freedom fighters, and of course, Bayard Rustin, along with A. Philip Randolph. They were very, very close friends. A. Philip Randolph was like a grandfather to me, and they came to our house during the time that they were planning, and before they were planning the March on Washington. A lot of people are not aware that there were other marches prior to the March on Washington, and one of them was the March for Integrated Schools during Eisenhower's time. And my late brother, Norman Braley, was one of those chosen to go to meet with Eisenhower. And of course, Eisenhower refused to meet with he and the young lady who I don't remember was there to meet with Eisenhower. Also at that march was the late Harry Belafonte with his new wife, Julie. So we got a chance to meet Julie, the new wife that Harry Belafonte was married to at that time. So there was a lot going on during those days.
What is your favorite memory of all of those interactions?
My favorite was, I guess, with A. Philip Randolph, because he was there a lot. He was at our house a lot. I have in my possession letters from A. Philip Randolph that he wrote to my mother regarding her hospitality. I have, what else do I have? Information regarding the Brotherhood of Sleeping Quarters on their stationery. I have information regarding the stamp when they made the stamp. The stamp was produced with A. Philip Randolph on it. My parents went up to that, and I have the program from that. And also, when I was in NYU doing graduate study, I was able to go to A. Philip Randolph's house in New York, or his apartment in New York, to interview him for a course that I was taking. And so those are the things that I remember most vividly, because we had a lot of time, spending time together. Also, there is a Pullman Porter Museum out in Chicago, and I was invited to come out there to speak about 10 years ago. And as a result of my speaking there, there was a Maryland Public Television program that was done about the Pullman Company and the Pullman Porters. So my name was given to the people who were doing the PBS special, and came to my house in Baltimore and take me for the PBS special about A. Philip Randolph and my dad and the things that were going on. And of course, they took some of the pictures of some of the materials that I had.
So I just want to get this one historical fact, and then I'm gonna let you go. When we think of Isaac Myers over in East Baltimore, of course, people in Baltimore know we have the Isaac Myers Frederick Douglass Maritime Park and Museum. When we think of Isaac Myers, he began, to my understanding, what would become the National Black Labor Union movement.
He started had the first union that we know of. Isaac Myers did.
Right. And my understanding is Frederick Douglass took it over after him.
Well, Frederick Douglass was a friend to Isaac Myers, but I have no knowledge. I can't say yes or no whether or not he took over the movement, but I know Frederick Douglass was a friend of Isaac Myers. And if I'm not mistaken, I helped him. I remember him trying to help it at some point, getting that shipyard going. I think Bethel Church had something to do with some of the money that Isaac Myers got to start that shipbuilding and caulking business over in Fells Point.
Okay, well, just bear with me. So when we think of A. Philip Randolph, he led the Pullman Porters Union.
Yes.
Which was a national labor union movement.
Absolutely. And let me just add this. The Pullman Company offered him a check up to $1 million if he would not organize the union. And his response to them was, "Black folks' dignity is not for sale."
Wow. What does that mean today? When we look back over our history, I mean, we you know, God forbid if people out here watching Fox television, but there's so much negativity and toxic, so much toxicity that's spewed, even down to the article you sent me about Project 2025. And let me tell you, our young people are reading up on Project 2025 and the fascism that is in wait, that's laying in the gap by these far-right people, these Mussolini type people. What's all of this mean moving forward?
It means that a lot of our folks don't know our history. And if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it. So we need to know people like A. Philip Randolph and E.D. Nixon and R.C. Davis and many of the freedom fighters. I was just looking this morning at this lady who was 95 years old who fought to make Juneteenth a holiday. And I'm looking with sorrow at what happened in Tulsa and how the folks that are 100 years plus in Tulsa were fighting for reparations and they were turned down. And I guess they were hoping that they would wait them all out and they would all be dead so they didn't have to deal with it. So there's just so much history that our young people and some of our adults just have not bothered to consume. And so once you know your history, you're not bound to make the mistakes that many people are making at this point in time.
Good deal. Auntie Alice, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. I love you so much.
Thank you for calling me. Have a wonderful day and a happy Juneteenth to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Bye-bye. Very special friend of mine. We got some comments. Mr. Michael Haney, I am perplexed, get your spelling right, at the thought of celebrating being freed from slavery, totally confused. Please help me find light in this. Thank you. Good morning. And then all the way from Tampa, Michael Randolph. Good morning, Mike. Most faithful listener. We have with us the one and only Charlotte Nader. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. Happy Juneteenth. I'm doing great today. How are you, Donnie?
Well, you know, we always got these pessimistic individuals out here who just got to have something. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Really, I think they are haters. People who watch this show and just got to find something to say. That's what it is.
You know, I come to bring positivity and light. So that's all that's coming from this side.
Okay, well, we're going to stay positive. Charlotte Nader, Director for the Baltimore City Office of Main Streets. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So, you know, before we get there, you have Puerto Rican roots, Boricua.
Yes.
And what a lot of us don't know in this country is that they're celebrating Juneteenth here in the continental United States. But a lot of us don't know as African Americans. Now, I've shared on the show that I got Boricua roots, also Blackfoot Indian. But all through the Caribbean, even Mardi Gras to some extent. They are celebrations of Independence Days. And that's what Carnival is all about, right?
Right, right.
So I've learned something about your history that we're going to bring out in this show. You do salsa.
I do. Well, it's called mambo, actually. The dance itself is called mambo. The music is salsa, but when you dance it, it's called mambo dancing. And I learned it when I was really young. I mean, it's in my roots, but I danced it professionally back when I lived in New York.
Really?
Yeah. I still do a little bit.
Wow. So what's Independence Day in Puerto Rico?
So they definitely are. There is, it's funny because I was talking with my mom, and Juneteenth is being celebrated to an extent in Puerto Rico as well. With there are a lot of people that are off from work, and just there is a rich culture of the just African American, the Latinos in Puerto Rico. So they have different things that they celebrate, but I do know that there is a celebration today with just giving honor to Juneteenth and the slavery.
Okay. In New York, there's a big time Puerto Rican parade.
Yeah, that happens in June. It's always in the month of June. And it's funny because I actually was in the Puerto Rican parade many times when I was younger, and I would go with my family and I would be a part of it back with my dance team. But yeah,
it was a team of y'all.
Huh?
It was a team of y'all.
Yeah. Well, when I used to dance mambo, we would travel, and the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which is, as I mentioned, usually in June, was always the kickoff to that. So we would, it would be in the Bronx as well. There was also a smaller parade, but then the big one was in the city, and it's gone through its ups and downs, but of just the influx of the attention that it received at times. But I can totally see where there is an upbringing now of positivity coming back, and I'm really excited for it. So maybe next year I'll make my way back there. I'm not in New York anymore, but I definitely still love to go.
No, you're not. You're in Baltimore. Now, we should say congratulations, right?
Maybe we can do a little congratulatory. I like to stay humble, but I'm just here to do the work for the people and to be a voice, honestly.
Oh, come on now. I mean, it's not every day. It's not, I get that part, but it's not every day that somebody becomes a director of an agency in Baltimore City.
That is true. And I mean, I have a team behind me that supports me. I love the work that I do for the mayor's office. And it's funny because prior to me becoming a director, the thought process was always just do the work, get out there and do the work. I worked really closely with Sean Stinnett, and we went out there and did a lot of the work before I even became director. So when you get the title, it's kind of like, it's more so others see that, but you already know that you're rooted in doing what needs to be done so that a city can thrive and be better. And that's what I stand by. But yes, I am the director of the Baltimore Main Streets program. I oversee 9 main streets in the city of Baltimore, and we are out of the mayor's office of Small Minority Business Advocacy and Development.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but I live minutes, 200-300 feet from Pennsylvania Avenue, Main Street.
Okay. I didn't know that. I love Penn.
And this is
for Miss Wanda.
Our Main Street is on life support. It's been challenging, and it's no fault of the city. Actually, of all of the main streets, ours, I don't know. It's been struggling. I remember back in 1999, the last year of Kurt Schmoke's administration, they repainted the Avenue Market. They put this Afrocentric motif all around. That is absolutely beautiful. When I was a kid, they called that market Lafayette Market. Interesting. Lafayette Market. My mom would take me there for fresh fish. I will say this, my favorite spot inside the Avenue Market, and I would recommend it for everybody because this is a food desert over here
absolutely.
between Pennsylvania, between Lexington Market and Shoppers at Mondawmin. There might be one, and I don't. There's one market on Pennsylvania Avenue, Pennsylvania and Dolphin, but the Avenue Market, I mean, the one spot inside is run by a nonprofit, actually, No Boundaries Coalition.
Correct. Yes.
And they are the best. I mean,
absolutely.
Fruits, salads, cold dishes, vegetables.
Yeah.
So we might as well start at the bottom, and then we can work our way up to the top to some of the better ones. Okay. What can and the challenges, and I noticed the history. 1 minute, Druid Hill, Druid Heights Community Development Corporation was running it. I think now Upton is running it.
Correct.
And then, so when they redid the market, they did something that was rather that could be misconstrued. This was 26 years ago. Something that could be misconstrued as racist. They wanted to pack the market with Black vendors. The only thing is, they couldn't find enough. And I remember one was Andre and Lee Bailey. I think Miss Lee might have moved around to Edmondson and Fulton now. But smoothies, people came from all over to get them. It's just been hard to get people to want to come here. We're dealing with all kinds of issues. Drug addiction. I mean, and now since Freddie Gray, where the police don't stop people for loitering, honestly, I have literally chased addicts, and these are the newcomer addicts. These are now white addicts from shooting dope right there outside in the market. And I know you were not ready for this. That this is not meant to be an ambush. This is nothing you did. This is actually what you are up against.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that there are community groups around here. The Salvation Army will be moving just across the street from the Avenue Market in the next year and a half or so. That we really welcome. We really look forward to it. If the building can stand up, we keep having people break into the building and they stealing wiring. I mean, you name the socioeconomic factors that are at the bottom, I will show you the dent of iniquity. So I was just in New York City yesterday, and I was sharing that you don't see any vacants. I didn't see any. I was in Harlem, and I'm not saying there aren't vacants in Harlem. I'm not saying it. I'm saying I did not see it. I was at 124th and Lenox, went up to my favorite spot, Jacobs. I'm just saying, how do we take this mess and make something of it?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Well, I'm always ready. It's a mentality. It starts there. You said a lot, right? So I'm going to unpack some of it without giving so much notary to what was as opposed to what's going to be, right? I like to always think positive and think about what's next. And one of the things that I stand very true to is, I remember when I was interim director, someone said to me, you have to have a little street in you to run main streets. And it was something that I took with me. And I was like, that's absolutely true. So I was raised in the Bronx. I grew up in New York. I like to call myself like from the Bronx to be more, the BX to be more, because I bring a certain flavor of what I know I saw and experienced growing up in New York. And I would like to say that I see pockets of old New York in the 80s happening, and the transition and the renaissance that's happening now in Baltimore. So I am in the right place at the right time, and I'm here to do the work. I have to say, I do not consider Pennsylvania Avenue at the end, at the bottom of my main street. I think they all bring their own unique flavor and passion. And I love the history in Pennsylvania Avenue. They have their Billie Holiday Festival that's coming up. Gotta share that. It's August 31st. And when you go into certain main streets, like yesterday we were at Park Heights, and I'll share all the main streets because I think it's important to shout them all out. But there are pockets of places and hidden gems in every single main street that some may not see. somewhere like a Fells Point, a Federal Hill that is in downtown Baltimore, where more people, there's more foot traffic, you're going to see what's happening in those places a lot more on the news, and just more promotion. And, you know, you have stadiums and things of that nature. But then you go into places like Avenue Market, Avenue Bakery, Capitol Lounge. There's so many hidden gems in these places. Yesterday at Park Heights, on Montego Bay, they have their like restaurant, but then right next door they have like a lounge. It was immaculate what you saw. And unfortunately, the city and the people of the city and others coming from the outside, they don't get enough of that. They don't see enough of that. So wanted to make sure I share the positivity of where we're going. There are many projects that are happening in the new fiscal year, and a lot of the city and our main streets will and should be receiving some of that, and they will. So Pennsylvania Avenue, we have a project with them. There is some great work that's happening with Chase Bank, and we're looking to help fill up those vacancies. We're matching business owners that have great, phenomenal business plans with certain vacancies, connecting them with the landlords, and just really looking to start filling up these places. Because one thing I can tell you is, when you start to fill up an area that was desolate, and now you have businesses that are thriving, you have families that are coming back into communities, then that starts to drive out a lot of what was. Obviously, you have to work with many partners, you know, the police, just other people within the communities, but there is a way that it can happen. And I don't know all the answers, but I promise you, Doni, my goal with my team and with the partners that I have is to roll up my sleeves, get into these neighborhoods and do the work. I'm not afraid to do the work. I've walked down Pennsylvania Avenue. I've seen what it is for young people to see the poverty and what they are up against. But when you have people in power that want to see change, it can happen. And that is one of my biggest goals with Pennsylvania Avenue. And I'm looking to help and grow what's happening there and make it better. So.
Well, let me share a little of my history with you. I've been a part of the Pennsylvania Avenue Cadillac Parade, and that was from roughly 95 to roughly 2005. With George Gilliam. We had the very large parades. We made Pennsylvania Avenue pop. Most recently, I worked with Baltimore City Police Officer Evan Anderson, retired Officer Chuck Lee, and the three of us put on the largest. I mean, the Cadillac Parade was pretty large, but it had been a long time since then. But we put on some pretty large parades that lasted. They ran from Penn North all the way down to Robert C. Marshall Field down at Pennsylvania and Dolphin. Not one incident. And you mentioned Baltimore City Police. Let me tell you something, that when I think of the kind of cops we need in our area, it's like Officer Lee, retired Officer Lee and Evan Anderson. When they were stationed inside the Avenue Market, along with Officer Iris Martin, they were stationed inside the Avenue Market. At the bottom, it was a former store. That was their office. Pennsylvania Avenue, everybody knows they sell more dope than Afghanistan. We get it. But when those three were there, they do. But when those three were there, what we had was respect. I don't know that we can ever get rid of the heroin, the cocaine, the crack. But what I do know is that we can bring respect. And it starts with the way the officers deal with the community, because too often we've seen officers just sit in their cars and stay idle. They there checking their social media, and right across the street the boys slinging. They shut down Legends, which hurt the community. Because and I know this has nothing to do with your bailiwick, but it is the terrain. So they shut down Legends. Legends was, as a matter of fact, George Gilliam, when Legends first came about, George Gilliam was one of the first directors with Main Street, if I'm not mistaken. And he had them, rather than name it New York Fried Chicken, he literally had them come up with a name that was reflective of the history, as you have alluded to. Billie Holiday, what's the piano man? God, Eubie Blake, Red Fox. People don't know that on my street, when black entertainers came to town, they would stay in their houses because they couldn't stay in hotels because Baltimore's home to segregation. So I'm giving you a crash course on some of the history, but segregation in America started here in Baltimore in 1910 up in Roland Park. They didn't want black people to be able to move into Roland Park. And that type of insidious backward thinking still exists today. I did a feature on a community up there called Hose Heights, but the segregation has it's spread. So you have the black butterfly, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, and then you got the white L, which goes from Johns Hopkins University down to the harbor over to East Harbor. When I go over to East Harbor and I see the sandboxes, I don't think that's there anymore, but I see the Taj Mahal looking hotels and restaurants. And I know black people up here don't know about it, because if they did, they would be all over there. And that's why the kids go down there. They say, why the kids in Fells Point? Because there's been a historic, it has nothing to do with Mayor Brandon Scott, a historic underinvestment in the black community. 63% black in a state where we have, and I just learned this yesterday, we have the largest state legislative caucus in the country. We got black elected officials up the yin yang. And on that note, congratulations to Governor Westmore for signing the executive order to expunge 175,000 cannabis charges for people. But there's been this historic underinvestment in our communities. And the worst part of all, you said you walk on Pennsylvania Avenue. I got people in my family won't come to Pennsylvania Avenue. They live in Owens Mills and Ramsdown. They are not coming to Pennsylvania Avenue. There's the stigma. And that's what I love about New York. Damn, if they can't handle that, I know they couldn't handle New York City 42nd and 8th back in the day.
Yeah.
The deuce.
Yeah, there's been a change there for sure. But I appreciate the history and the wisdom. I mean, you're literally boots on the ground. You're there. You live there. You know it. You breathe it. So who better than someone that, is still investing in their community, but also wants to see better for their community. So I appreciate it. I really do.
Listen, you talked about boots on the ground. I wanted to share this from your bio on Be More News. A heart to serve, 25 years in community work, public speaking, and youth development with a true boots on the ground mentality, infectious spirit, providing innovative leadership, fully bilingual, helping bridge the gap, seeking resolutions, and doing the work that evokes change. Currently, Charlotte Nader serves as the director of Main Streets for Baltimore City Mayor's Office of Small Minority Business Advocacy and Development. Try saying that thing twice in your sleep. Small Minority Business Advocacy and Development, overseeing 8 Main Street locations.
9. We just onboarded our last Main Street our most current Main Street last month. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's important to share.
Where is this?
Park Heights.
Park Heights is.
That's
so
right.
I am glad to hear that. And let me just say, I have been a stickler. When the Preakness comes around, this is the bad Doni right here. There's a bad Doni. This is the bad Doni. I love Park Heights. I used to live there. I've lived in much of different parts of the city, but Park Heights is very special. My God Brothers Church is up there. Bishop Kevia Elliott at the Lord's Church, 5010 Park Heights Avenue.
Oh, the Lord's Church. We just passed there yesterday during our tour. We did a tour.
Very, very near and dear to my heart. But the Preakness comes along. I love they have moved. It used to be Royal Maroon, Jamaican restaurant. I mean, love me Jamaican. But they moved, they caught on fire, so they moved to Blue Caribbean. But Max's, and people might get mad, but I'm gonna say Max got the best jerk chicken in Park Heights. But when the Preakness comes around, these businesses, Charlene, these businesses can't benefit from the Preakness. You got all of these white people, all of these people attending the Preakness, and I mean, you've never seen so many white people in Park Heights until you've been to the Preakness. And I mean outside. I am not talking inside. I've been inside. The outside, they got to get there. But the Caribbean restaurants, to me, And thank God we have a mayor who is doing something about it, but they've been strangled from making money on the day that everybody else is making money. And what's hurtful is that they are the businesses that hold that community down throughout the year.
Correct.
So I'm so glad to hear about that. And then also there's this historic mistrust by the people in Park Heights with the city of Baltimore, because there have been monies promised to them through the racetrack impact funds, through the state legislature, money that has been allocated by the city. It's really, if you ask me, especially when you look at the 47, 48, and 4900 block, that's where they cleared the territory. I used to live right there. Park Heights and Woodland, you could not be no chump coming through there. It was like 42nd and 8th. But they cleared it all out, and it's almost like the message being sent to black people, where we're gonna wait for you to die, get killed, or OD before we do anything up there. I'm just saying they've had money in wait for a long time, and I'm glad that our Park Heights reared mayor is doing something about that. Tell me about Park Heights. What can we? What do you hope to see there?
Man, I there's so much that I hope to see for all of our main streets, but I like to call Park Heights our baby, right? It's our newest one. So, you know, when you have a newborn, you want to cater to it and make sure that you nourish it correctly. And that's why we are doing the work. We have a team of 6 of us, including myself, within the Baltimore Main Street office. And we have one specific person that's designated for Park Heights. It's funny, I'm looking at the map now from DOP. We have a large territory to cover. It is our largest corridor, Park Heights. And we are looking to revitalize, to amplify, fill in vacancies, do facade projects for all of the storefronts that need to be beautified, and just bring a richness back to Park Heights. And you brought up the point of Preakness, and yesterday during our tour, that was shared by one specific business owner, and we listened and we took inventory on what she was saying. And it's funny because it was a supermarket, and forgive me that I don't have the name of it right now, but I will be sharing it at our Baltimore Main Street's Instagram and Facebook. We'll be putting that up today, because I went in there, I got cocoa butter, aloe vera, rose water. There was so many items, natural items and Caribbean food that I was able to buy at the store. And she brought that up. She's like, when Preakness comes here, we don't really get any of what's happening, and that traction doesn't come towards us. With us being a main street now, making sure that we market, we promote, and we honor the work that needs to be represented, because without the communities and the businesses, then what is Park Heights? They're there. They're the ones for years. She's been there for 20 years, I believe. We are going to make sure that they are amplified, even if it means that while they're inside, we are like, come here, support this, share it, figuring out ways to get this to happen. My name is attached to this, and I guarantee you, with you sharing in my bio, I got 25 years doing this type of work. Youth development is at my core, helping the young people, because they are the future, and making sure that they know that they should invest in exactly where they live and where they are. We're doing the work. It's going to get done. And whatever I'm have enough power to have the role to do, I am going to do. So Park Heights will get a lot more than what they had, and you guys will see that change in the new fiscal year, without a doubt. It's going to take time. It's going to take time, but it's going to happen for sure.
I'm going to tell you who your secret weapon is in Park Heights.
Tell me.
It's the big mamas up there. It's the mothers who have been running little small groups here. Some of you say you deal with youth development through Will Hanna, through Willie Flowers, and you need a combination of folks, because we can be very territorial, but they've introduced me to some of the older women who hold that community down, who have seen it all, and I'll make sure you at least meet the ones that I know. But it's those big mamas who've been holding it. The men have been holding it down. My god brother and us, they go through there on a regular basis. But Park Heights is a classic example of the divisiveness because, as you know, on the north side of Pimlico and on the east side of Pimlico is a different community, like Mount Washington.
Correct.
I have to tell you the story offline, but there are those who aren't all of that happy for Black people making progress up there, and it's a shame.
Yeah,
it's a shame that we can't work together. It's a shame that somebody thinks this land is more my land than it is your land. It's supposed to be for all of Baltimore. So I'd like to commend the mayor, the blackest mayor in America. He said he's going to make Baltimore the blackest city in America. The blackety black is what I heard.
He does say that. That's definitely his lingo when he's talking.
But this is to reverse this historic segregation, this historic underinvestment in Black communities. Tell me about and tonight when we have the Black Wall Street, we will be honoring someone from Park Heights at Prim and Proper tonight. What's the name? Miss Jiggets?
Yes, so Ms. Jolanda Jiggets, she is the CEO of Park Heights Renaissance, which is the organization that essentially applied for to become a Main Street, has been doing work for years in Park Heights. And you know, I love Jolanda because she's a tough cookie, and I love that about her. But she also loves deeply, and she was so excited yesterday during the tour when she took us around to like all these different places, and she's like, "This is the heart. This is the heart of Park Heights." And when you move with that kind of passion, people are either going to follow that and be a part of it, or they get intimidated and be like, you know, I'm going to step away. But the group of people that we're working with, the communities, the organizations, the partners, they're excited for this change. And, you know, the mayor is from Park Heights. That's where his roots are. That's where he grew up. So there's a personal a love for that part of the city. And we will be honoring her tonight. I'm excited. Thank you for that opportunity. You always open your door to me, Doni. I appreciate you. I love what you do. And I thank you for just even giving me an opportunity to have a voice to share who we are and what we do. I do want to share the 4-point approach that we follow with Main Streets, because I think it's important. People, they hear Main Streets, some know a lot about it, some don't know enough about it. And we follow National Main Street. So this is a national thing that we make sure that we follow, and is a 4-point approach. So for every Main Street, we look at these 4 pillars to make sure that whatever neighborhood we're in, whatever corridor we're a part of, that these 4 things are happening. So number 1 is promotion. We want to make sure that they are being promoted heavily, that whatever is going on, whatever events are happening, that people know about them, whether within the city or even from the outside coming in as visitors. We have a partnership with Visit Baltimore, so kind of brings in all that outside traction. Design. Every Main Street has its own unique look. Some are a little bit more unique than others, but we really like it to be where when you come into a Main Street, you know you're in a Main Street. You're like, okay, I'm in Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm in Hamilton, Laurelville, Main Street. Economic vitality is a huge pillar that it's our first pillar. You think of vitality. If it's not vital, it's dying, it's dead. So we want to make sure that people are coming into the communities, that they know what's happening, and they continue to help these businesses thrive, so that we have more vacancies filled, we have businesses that are thriving, and we do not lose what needs to stay in these communities business-wise. And last but not least, organization. You have to have an organization. You have to have people in the communities, the partners, the churches, the schools, the hospitals, just as you mentioned, the mamas, right, from these neighborhoods, to continue to help it thrive and go forward. So that's our 4-point approach. We follow it for all the Main Streets, and Park Heights is right now the one that we are looking at more closely because it's our baby and we want to see it grow. So please visit, whoever's on here, visit Park Heights, visit all our Main Streets, actually.
Have you met Michael Johnson yet?
Michael Johnson. The name sounds familiar, but I don't believe that I've met him in person.
a couple of years ago during Preakness, he had an outdoor festival.
Okay.
For where the Preakness, and so you may have, I've been known to say black people want to go out to the Preakness and wear straw hats, sundresses, and sip on Black Eyed Susans, and all that's fine. At the same time, let's get these businesses surrounding Pimlico Racetrack involved in it. We're talking about millions of dollars that they go through hands on that day. People come there,
Yes.
and we should just be doing better to make sure that the community feels a part. So Michael Johnson had an outdoor street festival that capitalized on it. It's a lot of attention. It's more people at the Preakness than maybe any other pub. It's an internationally watched, viewed event, but people come there in person. You know, people rent out their lawns, right? They rent out their driveways.
Oh yeah, park. Yeah. Oh, it's. I've been 3 years in a row. This last year was really special just because Park Heights now is a main street, and yeah, there's money flowing. There is a lot that gets brought into that space, and the neighborhood should 100% be able to get some of that and to receive some of that and to be a part of that in some way, because that's what speaks to neighborhoods revitalization. When these big organizations and these events come into the community, they should be happening for sure. So you said Michael Johnson had like a street fair.
I remember it happened one year, a street fair outside.
That must have been really nice.
I didn't see it, but it had to be nice. It was a no-brainer. Now, I don't know if he lost interest, if he didn't get support, but he did lead that effort. And there are many partners. I tell you what I would love to see. So you know about WNADA, the West North Avenue Development Authority?
Absolutely.
We've had 2 meetings. The next meeting is on July 13th, as listed down below. How do we get West North Avenue as a main street? And also, how do we get East 25th Street? Well, actually, it's East and West. They say, because the mayor gave Jackie Cummins, he named the street Black Wall Street over there, I think. She said that they have more black businesses. She, Terrence Dixon, some of the others, they think they have more black businesses. I don't know that they got more black businesses than Park Heights. But in her building alone, they got like 30. She just about 2 or 3 buildings. They've got at least 30 black-owned businesses. I'd love to be a part of it. I'd love to help a directory of black businesses or Main Street businesses. Is there a directory of Main Street businesses? I'd love to be a part of helping to pull together and bring them on the show. That's why we want to give them awards. We started with Sean. You have now picked up the ball to celebrate. Tell us about some of the other honorees tonight.
Yeah, so just kind of backtracking with some of the other things that you mentioned. I met I believe she's the director of the program for WNADA, or she's working really closely with them at the procurement conference. So we'll be scheduling a meeting with them as well, just to kind of know more of what they're doing and really connect with them in some form of partnership. As far as with Main Streets, so right now we are not bringing in any more Main Streets for the moment, but that, hopefully changes. The goal is to bring in more, right? But we want to focus on the ones that we have. My goal is at least 10, and we're at 9, at least 10, and then continue to grow all of those, because the goal with the 4-point approach is to get the Main Streets to really have those things solid, and then they can move on and they'll be more like an alumni because they've reached their goal, and we can bring in more Main Streets so that we can continue to help the neighborhoods in the city of Baltimore. But lastly, the directory. So we do have through the mayor's office, through the website of I'm going to give you the exact name for it. I'm going to put it in the chat. So if you want to share it, all of our 8, we're going to add the 9th one, Main Streets. You can click right onto the actual Main Street and it gives you the directory of all of their stores. Some of them do have, like Hamilton Laurelville does have a directory of their Black owned businesses and others don't, but they all do have directories, and you see a list of all the businesses within their corridor, and we will be adding Park Heights very soon. And then for tonight, so we are going to, there's a few honorees. And so another one that we brought in outside of Miss Jolanda Jiggets is Tia Hamilton, who's the owner, CEO of Urban Reads Bookstore. She has a store in one of our main streets in Waverly Main Street, and she also is in Lexington Market. She's actually there all day today. She's like, I'm here celebrating Juneteenth, working with my team, and then I'm gonna go home, get changed, and head over to the event. So those are the two that are coming from our end. Yeah.
So I just had an idea. I need to ask the mayor to support you. I'm putting work on your plate. Don't you just love it?
Oh, it's okay. I don't have anything else going on.
We need we need a Main Street. We need a Main Street conference.
Oh, we're working on that for fiscal year 25. We're working on a conference. Well, this 2025 makes 25 years that Baltimore Main Street has been, that the Main Streets program has been in Baltimore. So we are celebrating that. We're looking to do a gala. We're looking to do a conference. Yes. And we are also looking to start with a resource day. And it will be bringing in all of the partners, the banks, all the organizations that can provide resources to these businesses, and bring it, kind of like make that connection and bring them all into one space, a whole day event, possibly some pitch competitions, and just a lot of great things that we're working on behind the scenes, and people will know more of in the early fiscal year, which starts July 1st. So I think somewhere around September or so, a lot of these announcements will be made.
So I met a lady yesterday in Harlem.
Yeah.
And she was responsible. She co-founded, to my understanding, the resurrection of the Harlem Cultural Festival. And the beautiful thing about it is she's not even from Harlem. She's a military brat who grew up in Europe, but her goal is to help empower small businesses. Nikoa Evans, Nikoa Nikoa Evans.
Okay.
A beast. Went to Stanford, went to business school, and she said she saw that a white guy had taken the name of Harlem Cultural Festival and tried to appropriate it, trademarked it. And she and her team went to work and dismantled that chicanery and got this thing resurrected. It happened. I think it's already happened this year. I told her I want to be a part of helping to promote it moving forward, because there's similar challenges, not just in Baltimore, but all over. So
I just added the link for our Baltimore Main Streets
what can the
website.
Community do, Charlotte? What can the community do to help you?
Well, first and foremost, visit our 9 Main Streets. That is one of the first things, because when you support and you bring back some of what's needed for the local businesses, they're gonna thrive, right? Everyone now wants this. They go online. After COVID, so much has changed with people getting comfortable with just shopping behind a computer, their phone, that instant gratification of having it delivered to them. Get out into these communities. Go support these businesses. Every single Main Street, I guarantee you, if you take the time to go in and really meet these business owners, you realize the richness and the stories, and there is something in them that you will find in you. And I shop local in these Main Streets. I go to Waverly and shop at Herman's Discount. I go now, just even knowing more about Montego Bay. I was like, I need to go back this weekend. They have such great richness in these places, visit the main streets. That's one of the first things that I would say. And as you continue to hear about main streets, follow us at our Instagram, which is Baltimore Main Streets. And then from there, you'll be connected to all of the main streets and every single one of them. The website is there that Doni just added, where you can see all the businesses within the main streets. And I guess I'll share the 9 of them because I did it in the beginning, but we have our main streets that are kind of more so in the south area of the city. So Fells Point, Federal Hill, Pigtown, and Highlandstown, right? And then we also have Waverly, Bel Air Edison, Pennsylvania Avenue, and Hamilton, Laurelville. And last but not least, Park Heights that just came on board. That's our 9 main streets. Please go out and visit them, learn more about what we do. When you hear about us and we're doing the work, support the initiative. We have great things coming into the new year, and we cannot do this work without the community and the organizations and the people of the city of Baltimore. It takes a village, and you are the village. I'm the village. We're all the village. So let's go out there and support them as best as we can, especially today on Juneteenth, right?
Where did this love for business come from? And thank you for the reminder, because I don't plug my books enough. I Am Black Wall Street, going into the history of how Tulsa came to be and unapologetically black. And I will be dropping my 3rd book next week, Journalpreneur.
Congrats. You know, you need your own award. You're always awarding and which you do get, but you put you create a space so that people, businesses can know in the Black community, you're represented here. We love you. We want to see you. And you do that. And you should be represented and appreciated for that. So thank you. As I mentioned earlier, thank you. And plug away. Always share what you have going on. So I'll answer that question for you real quick. I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. I've had several businesses, have had a 501c3 nonprofit. And when I was, I want to say about 8 years old in New York, in the Bronx, I had a love for Barbies. So every holiday, every Christmas, my birthday, my mom always bought me like Barbies and Ken dolls and the house and the, you know, basically like my Barbies were rich. They had everything that they needed. So I started a business where I started renting out my Barbies, my Kens, and their houses and their beach houses. And I was making money doing that at between 8 and 10 years old. I had neighbors coming, knocking on my door, asking me to borrow, to you know, rent them out. I was 8, 9. Then I started making bracelets and selling those. And then when that didn't work out, I was like, okay, I got to figure out a different way to do it because they're popping. So now I need to buy better lace for it. Point being, entrepreneur is something that is in you. It's at your heart. I was an entrepreneur since I was that age. And now I'm able to come into a space, a governmental space, where I can be the voice for the businesses that don't have that voice, that don't know enough. They're not in the rooms that they need to be in. So that's where my drive came from, coming from New York now to Baltimore. It just, you know, I'm big on my faith. You know, God just brought me into this space and I'm doing his work. I'm doing his work and I don't intend on stopping ever. Businesses need to be heard and understood and known. And as long as I'm here on this earth, I'm going to make sure that I do that.
Good deal. I know you have a busy schedule. Thank you for joining us today. Did we not cover anything you wanted to?
No,
okay.
No, you got the website up. I shared the 9 main streets and looking forward to celebrating these businesses tonight.
What's the best part of your day? Your work day.
The best part of my work day? When a business owner shares that they were able to conquer something that they needed an avenue to get to, and my agency, the other Main Street executive directors and managers made it happen for them. That for me, it speaks to the work that I do. And they pick up the phone and call and they're happy that there's a voice. Somebody amplifies them in a room that they cannot walk into or that they haven't been able to have the key to get inside of.
I'm really excited about Main Street. I'm really excited, especially on Juneteenth. Anything that has to do with business. I grew up in a family business. We can have all of the Black politicians in the world. We can have all of the Black governors and Black mayors and so on and so forth. But if that does not translate into the economic empowerment of the Black community, especially in a historically segregated city like Baltimore, it's all for naught. So we are so glad to have you, and whatever we can do to continue to support you, we certainly will. Charlene Nader.
Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate you, and I'll see you later today. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and happy Juneteenth.
Good deal. Thank you so much, man.
Bye-bye.
Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day, and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.